Speaking of what buyers want, I feel like it's time we bring on our guest.
We got a pro. All right. So last night on national TV, HGTV, house hunting, Colorado Springs was featured, and the feature buyer agent was our own RE/MAX Properties superstar, Ian Stone. Welcome to the show, buddy.
Hey, thanks, Joe. Appreciate it. Hi, Amy.
Hi there.
I'm so excited to be here.
Yeah,
Thank you.
It's great to have you, bud. Hey, man, that was so cool to see you on national TV last night. And they get about 7 million people watching that thing?
Yeah, 7 million people watched, and you know what? I think I got about 1 million text messages from friends and family everywhere. And it was so nice to hear from people I haven't talked to and seen. And it was fun to see myself on TV for sure.
Yeah.
My clients were fun. I mean, they were
a great couple. They were great.
You
they
know,
were great.
Just really great people to work with. That's the kind of buyers that we look for at RE/MAX Properties. You want to work with people who are smart and fun and easy to talk to.
They were great.
You know, so that went really well for us, and my kids really loved it. You know, seeing Dad on TV was pretty neat. So
that's great.
You know, and I've already got calls this morning from sellers and buyers who are excited. You know, who saw how I work with my customers and want to have that experience for themselves. So you know, that was really great this morning. I was on the phone all morning with potential customers. So that's been great.
That's awesome.
Well, thank you for being here. Hopefully, you're not missing too many calls.
Maybe we'll get a few more from this too, Amy.
Yeah. Okay, great.
570-1530 if you want to talk to the national superstar. Right?
That's
Ian
right.
Stone. All right, so let's talk about a couple. First of all, Ian lives in Black Forest. He knows what's going on out there. You were evacuated, right?
We were.
And nothing happened.
Well,
your property was okay?
Our property did not have any issues other than smoke damage, and then we did have some burn on our land. We have 5 acres, so we're cleaning up that mess right now, but all in all, it's improved over the last couple months. I mean, the grass is coming back, and things are looking good, and everybody's working hard out there to get things back to normal.
Great. That was a real tough experience for you and your young family to have to. Where did you go?
So we stayed with friends for a couple of days. You know, we have 3 kids, and a dog and everything.
That's
so we stayed with some friends, and then we sort of felt like, you know, time to get a hotel. So we stayed at a hotel, and you know what? It was a good family experience. We actually grew closer because of it.
Sure.
It was hard. I'll admit it was really hard to listen to that police scanner all day long, wondering what the heck was going on in our property.
I wonder if it was your house next.
Yeah, and the firefighters. Oh my goodness, I've met most of them. They've come back to the house weeks later to show their families and their kids where they worked. And so I've been able to meet some of these really amazing guys from Elbert and all around Colorado Springs and out into the extended counties who came and fought.
Cool.
And you know, so it's been a good experience here to kind of be, you know, having the firefighters doing so much for us, and then at this point I want to do so much for them. So you know they've been great. That's been the biggest experience so far, is how awesome they've been.
That's great. All right, well, let's get back to working with buyers. You know, last night on the show, you really have that knack of saying just enough. I mean, I think some real estate people don't say enough, but I also think there's a majority that say too much. It's just, you know, they got motor mouth, you know, and you were perfect. You know, you answered their questions and you pointed out things in the property that they're looking for, or even some things that were maybe not there, that, you know, like the fireplace or whatever. But let's walk everybody through the process with, you know, the real estate counseling, buyer agent counseling. When you first started with those folks, you sat down and went through the buyer guide and whatever. Just talk us through the whole thing.
Right, Joe. You know, the most important thing about meeting with new customers is getting face-to-face and having a really great consultation, and a lot of it is listening on my part.
You bet.
You know, we need to be great listeners as real estate agents, because people want what they want, and they sometimes have a hard time telling us what they want. So it takes a minute to kind of get everything out and figure out their locations and their needs and wants. So we always have an appointment right at RE/MAX Properties. We sit in a conference room and we talk about what they want to do. We go through the buyer guide, which we have with RE/MAX Properties, talking about, you know, what the steps are here.
Yes.
And it's a process where you have to go step by step to get to the end goal of getting a great home. So
these kids that you had on TV last night, that was their first home, wasn't it?
Yes, they just got out of college.
Wow.
their first home, first experience with a real estate agent too. So, you know,
Wonderful.
there's a lot of apprehension from the public when they come to meet an agent.
That's
they don't
true.
know what to expect.
That's right.
So what we try and do is set those expectations for them from the start, from the lending aspect and getting your
Right.
first mortgage,
Huge, yes.
to being able to get a great company to inspect the property, and also
Big.
going through all the title and just those little things that most people who haven't bought a home don't know what to expect. So
Exactly.
we talk to our customers right from the start about what to expect. So then once you get going and you get in the car and start doing the fun part, looking at homes, they know what's coming next.
That's right.
A lot of buyers come back to me, Joe, who have been working with other agents, and they didn't have those expectations set, and things go awry, and they end up at Remax Properties with us. So
That's nice.
you know,
Good for you. Well, I like that. The real estate counseling piece is so important before you start, even if they have owned a home. It might have been in Iowa or someplace where the process might be a little different. You know, the buyer agency may not be the same as our buyer agency, and how we do things, and how we have to sign a buyer agency agreement, and all those kinds of things that our buyer guide explains in detail. But you did a great job with this young couple, because they seem to be very comfortable with you, obviously, and that's huge, I think.
You know, I think the most important part of a relationship with a buyer agency is them liking you,
Yes.
respecting you, and then you can counsel them.
Yeah.
If you don't have that respect,
Yeah.
they're not going to listen to you when
No.
you give them important advice. They don't
Correct.
understand.
That's right.
They're going to be like, what is this joker telling me today?
That's
So,
right.
you know, we really try and form that relationship. You know, people work with people they like. You know,
That's right.
and that's the biggest thing with a lot of agents who are successful. They always have a great personality. They listen. And those
right.
are the things we learn through our experience as an agent and training with Remax Properties and Amy. You know,
Hey, that's right.
That's a big thing that we're training our
That's
agents. These same things, you know, that more experienced agents know through trial and error.
Yeah.
You know, but the biggest thing I think with them is for your clients to listen to you, they have to like you. And that's the biggest thing that I try and do with my customers, because if I'm going to help them, you know, I have to have that, you know.
For sure. You did a great job. I love the way when you were walking through the home with them that you let them do a lot of the exploring, and it was like, oh, look, you know, the hardwood floors are just what we were thinking, and that's what we want. And oh, there's a swing on the porch, but you pointed out the swing on the porch.
Right.
Because you even get a swing on the porch because they're from the south and she wants to sit outside. The only thing the camera did is the camera focused on the swing, and right underneath it was snow.
Yeah. Which is incredible because, you know, we filmed last November, December, so the weather was not cooperating. And I'm like, oh, man, I wish the trees were in bloom and that kind of stuff. But you know what you said earlier is people make sales during all parts of the year.
That's right.
But I'll say, to Joe's point about listings, guys, if you're out there and you're thinking about selling your home, this summer is when your property looks the best. This is when...
Yeah, and we still got several months left.
Yeah. So, I mean, if you guys are considering selling, hey, give us a call. So.
That's right. Let's get out there. Let's help you. Okay. Yeah, so they came from Georgia, was it? Georgia, is that where they came in from?
Yep, so they both went to the University of Georgia, graduated there. He's a veterinarian here in town.
How fabulous.
So he's young, really smart kids, and came right to town, and they love it here, too. So.
I thought they were cool. I thought, boy, what a great couple. Did you pick them? How did that all work?
You know, they came to me through my advertising, so
No, I meant, did you pick them for the TV show?
You know, they were the ones who really wanted to do the show. So it was Emily who really just loves House Hunter. She's been watching it, and she said to her husband, "Make this happen." And he said, "Ian, what do we do?" And I said, "I'll go find out. We'll put in the application. We'll do our video diaries," which that was a blast. You know, I had to do that for the first time in my life. You know, get on camera, which you know I wasn't used to that, so we did that part. But it was Emily. She really wanted to be on House Hunters and have this first experience. So
I'll tell you what, that's interesting because for some reason I thought that it was the other way around. I thought that you were the one that knew somebody that knew somebody or something. I didn't realize it was Emily.
And it's so easy for customers and clients out there. If they want to be on House Hunters, it's as easy as us just going and talking to the people that we know now. So, anybody out there who's interested in maybe buying a home and going on for another Colorado Springs experience, Ian Stone, give me a holler. You can Google me.
Yeah. Now Ian knows the ropes, man. He can get back on there. Well, you did a great job. I tell you what, it was cool. And it's interesting that, last night, it was my night for poker. I had 6 guys over my house for poker. And, of course, I'm cooking burgers, and we got all this stuff going on. I go, hey, I got to watch this. And so my next-door neighbor, he goes, I wonder if Pat's watching that. Pat watches the show all the time. So he calls Pat, his wife, on the cell phone. He goes, are you watching House Hunter? And she goes, no. He said, well, Joe's agent's on there. It's Ian Stone. She goes, I know Ian Stone. How does she know you? It's my next door neighbor. I sold them their house.
I'm not stealing them, Joe, I promise.
Now, you know what? He said that she loves watching that show.
And so many people do, Joe. It's a really feel-good show.
Yeah,
with all the negative stuff you see on TV. It's all junk, and this is fun for people to see the market, see Colorado Springs, and see some kids going out and buying their first house, which we've all been. If you're older, remember that experience and what it's like. So, I think it was captured really well. I think the editor of the show did a great job, the whole crew with HGTV, unbelievable professionalism.
Nice.
Just a really great experience from my side of things, and
well, they got some great shots of the Springs, I thought.
Oh, yeah.
It made the city look nice, and
Garden of the Gods,
and everything. I mean, it was very cool. It's just really nice to showcase the city, and to showcase you and Emily and what was his name? Jason
and Emily.
Yeah. That was just great. It was a great kudos to you, buddy. And also, I have to tell you. I'm sure they had something to do with this press release, but that was awesome too. I mean, your picture, our Remax property sign on the entertainment section, you and Jason and Emily, and a picture of the house they bought, and it says "House Hunters comes to the Springs."
Yeah. Oh, it's
and
fabulous.
This is the Gazette?
This was on the Gazette.
Yeah. All right.
You can go online too, guys, and go to Gazette.com and just pull up House Hunters in the search bar. It'll come right up. You can read the article.
Yeah.
They're coming out with a new article to kind of wrap it up.
Yeah.
I just met with the Gazette today, and they'll have a new article out, kind of just talking about some of the things we're talking about and the fun of it.
Yeah, people want to know.
Yeah, what's it like on the other side? What's reality TV really like?
Yeah.
And people love reality TV.
Yeah.
I mean, it's fun.
I picked the house that they bought. I mean, I knew that it's the dogs. I mean, they had these dogs.
They love the dogs.
The puppies need a yard, I got that figured out right away.
And from knowing downtown and knowing the Springs, how it's difficult to find a big yard down there.
It is.
These are older homes built in the early 1900s. And
I thought house number 1, where they had a little strip down the middle, they had a lot of patio, was a better fit as far as the house.
Yes.
But that yard, they just didn't like all that concrete and all that stuff.
And they didn't want to mess around with doing stuff after. They got busy. They're busy. They got full-time jobs. They just want to go and move in. And so many buyers want that these days.
You know what? That's a good tip for sellers to hear, that people do not want to buy a project.
No, and they want it polished, just like you said. I mean, when you walk into a home, if it doesn't smell great, if it doesn't look great, and it doesn't have what you want, they leave so fast. It's boom. Right
well, I thought the 3 houses you had were on the show were great. I mean, they were good-looking houses. I thought.
Yeah, and that's Patty Jewett right downtown, where I love that neighborhood.
It's beautiful down there.
People love it. I mean, the only wish that I had is that it was done in the summertime, so you can see the rows of
big trees,
and how gorgeous it is. And you can walk and go get a coffee, to the shops, and just everything so close with.
Or you can walk over to Patty Jewett and play 9 holes.
Right, and then have a steak over there after.
Yeah, that little pub is good.
Yeah.
So anyway, that just cool. I really enjoyed it, and it actually saved me money because we got to the poker table 30 minutes late. That's good for Joe. If I could avoid getting there, it'd probably be even better, but I never win.
Well, I wanted to ask, we were talking about, being a buyer's agent who focuses a lot on buyers in the process. And you talked about educating buyers, really letting them know in advance how it's going to go. But I wanted to quiz you a little bit more about how it actually does go.
Mm-hmm.
So for people who have been waiting and they see that now really is, the window is kind of closing as far as the bottom of the market and the cheapest rates possible, now would be the time. So if someone were to call you now and say, I'm interested in being moved in the next 60 days, what could they expect? How many houses do they have to see? Is it 200 or 300?
That's
You're supposed to laugh.
Hey,
Not that many.
I haven't showed 200 houses yet, but the expectations with the internet and with the ability for us to have amazing search programs that we have at RE/MAX.
Well, and then sit in the conference room with a flat screen TV
Yep.
hooked to the computer,
Yep.
and
we put them
just
right up
click
there.
them through,
Yep, I put up.
and eliminate.
Yeah, and we go. It's a process of elimination is really a great way to look at it.
Yep.
We'll go through while we're in the office and do a lot of that due diligence. A lot of times people know what they want. They know the neighborhood. There's only 6 or 8 homes maybe available in a mile radius.
Okay.
So a lot of times you can narrow down, and that's
That's
a
right.
big part of doing a great job as a buyer agent, because if I show them 50 homes, a lot of times they're wasting their time. They have kids and sports and fun things that they want to do, and they don't want to sit with me driving around. It's better to narrow down to about 10.
Yeah.
I think that's a really great number for
Yeah.
an agent to show. And then a lot of times we'll have to continue to look as new properties come on if the right one's not there. But once they find the right property, that experience goes pretty quickly.
Okay.
Typically once they see the house they like, we will go back a couple more times.
Yep.
I always, even if it's one of my agents showing, I'll go over there and just kind of give the seal of approval, and we'll just double check it's a good house. From there, we write an offer, and that takes a few days. And once you're under contract, we do an inspection.
Mm-hmm.
We put down the earnest money, which holds the property for us. And once the inspection has been negotiated and resolved, we have an appraisal.
Okay.
And then from there, we want to make sure we have clean title and there are no, clouds over the property in terms of taxes or ownership issues, things like that. And, it's really smooth when you have an agent who's been doing it a long time. I handle all of that stress.
Yeah.
They don't hardly see that.
Yeah.
They see the negotiation because, of course, they're the boss and make the ultimate decisions. But, a lot of the behind-the-scenes things, RE/MAX takes care of that. That's why our clients come to us. They don't want to have to deal with that. They have their own job they have to do. We do that job for them.
Yeah.
And so most of the buyers that we see can get into a property in about 45 to 60 days is a typical time frame from sitting in my office to closing.
Mm-hmm.
And that's because of experience. It may take longer with other agents, but that's why you come to RE/MAX.
Yeah, RE/MAX Properties, 4 locations. 10-foot Hill Street down south, downtown on South Tejon. North, which is Ian's office, 1740 Chapel Hills Drive. That's the office Ian works out of. And the Monument office up on Lake Woodbourne Drive. HomesColorado.com is our website. So let's flip this to sellers just for a quick second. You heard Ian say that you want to sit there, and we use flat screen TVs in our conference rooms and shop online first with a buyer before we go out in the car. And it's funny because I was thinking the other day when we started that, it was just before the gas went up to $3.50 a gallon or whatever, and it was like we had a line outside the conference room because gas was so high we didn't want to go out and drive around, and because it was like, oh my gosh, But now we're kind of used to the $3.50 or whatever it is, but we still use this process. So sellers, keep this in mind. You need a good agent that has a good photographer, that makes you look good online, because consumers do it on their own, but when they're working with a good buyer agent like Ian, they're sitting there in front of a computer screen, whether it be a flat screen TV or just a regular computer or laptop or something, or an iPad, and they're eliminating homes. And how do you avoid that process? By having good pictures, by looking beautiful,
Staged properly.
Clean, countertops clean, lighting. I mean, there's all kinds of reasons why you want to make sure you look good in person and you look good online.
That's true.
Yeah, Joe, let me give you a perfect example. I was with a customer 2 days ago. We were looking in the conference room, going through, and kept coming across these listings that were terrible pictures, terrible information, and they wanted to cross them off the list. And thankfully, I'd been into the properties.
There you go.
So I knew that one of the two was going to be something they liked. So we were able to go see it, and know what? They wrote it up. But if I didn't know that, they would have kicked it right off the list, and that seller wouldn't have sold. So they were lucky that we knew a little bit more about the property and the location, and that it was a good deal. And you'll find that with the foreclosed homes online, distressed properties, the agent will drive by and take a picture going 30 miles an hour past the house, and you don't get that information. We'll go out and do that legwork for you and make sure that you'll find the right property. But sellers, hey, get a great agent with a great photographer.
It's important.
It's so important.
Yeah.
You know, you look at the high-end stuff too, Joe, and a lot of them have terrible pictures. You know, the resolution's poor.
Yeah, you really have to do it on the high end. I got a quick high-end story for you. So we go, Kristen and I go to this house for our first appointment. Kristen's my listing coordinator. And we walk in the house, and he's a safari hunter. So guess what he's got all over this house? Heads. He even had a rhinoceros head.
Oh, my goodness.
That scared her. I mean, it's a good thing I went down to the lower level first and said, oh, there's a rhinoceros around the corner. She would have fainted. Anyway, I mean, they were everywhere. And so this gentleman is buying a house up in the Boulder, Fort Collins area. And I said, hey, let me ask you a question. When you were looking up there, did you go online? Oh, yeah, I did it all. I did most of it online. You could kind of a process of elimination, get it down to 5 or 6. Yeah, that's exactly what I did. I said, guess what's going to happen here? People are going to do the same thing. And guess what's going to happen? You're going to get eliminated. Because if they see these heads, and it'll be very difficult, there's so many of them, to have a photographer shoot this beautiful home, you're going to get eliminated. And nobody's going to come look at the house.
Right, and it's not about what he wants to have in the house while he's living. It's about selling. And when you're selling, you got to make changes.
You got them all out.
You got to get them out of there.
The way you live is not the way you sell.
Right, right. And people have a hard time with that. But most people who are serious about selling are that way. They'll do what it takes for the most part.
No, yeah. He needs to sell, and he was very cooperative. But it's just an extreme example of exactly what we do, what buyer agents do. You sit there and go over it on a flat screen or on a computer, and you're eliminating, and you don't want to give any reason to eliminate. And there's a good thing on that one that you actually saw the inside of it, so you could bring them to it and say, it's not that bad.
It's not as bad as the pictures,
Yeah,
and it was a nice house too,
Yeah.
and they probably would have got 5,000 more if they had better pictures.
See, and what you have to understand, folks, is all real estate agents are not equal. There are better real estate agents around than some. Some don't take good pictures. Some don't want to spend the money for a good photographer. We use a photographer. Most of our agents use someone to take those pictures that has a super camera, that makes it look good, wide angle lens, yada, yada.
And take tons of different pictures and then let us go through and let it work together to get the best 25 shots. So
we are back. Real Estate on I-25, Talk Radio, KCBR, 1040 AM. We're talking with Ian Stone, who was featured last night on HGTV House Hunting. He was the buyer agent. He had Emily and Jason, and they bought a house down by Patty Jewett Golf Course, and it was house number 3.
House number 3.
With a backyard for the puppies.
Yep.
Well, you know what? I didn't know that he was a veterinarian, but that really makes sense now. That they got those 2 dogs, and they're not just the average couple. He's a vet. What does she do?
She works for a non-profit and does like sustainable gardening and living for the community here.
Wow.
So they're really special people. Just really
couple.
Hardworking, and the pups are gorgeous. If you saw the pups last night, I mean, really cool dogs, and they're huge pet lovers.
Well, makes sense. He's a vet. You better love pets if you're a veterinarian. Cool. All right. So. Back to the buyer agency and how important it is to have a good buyer agent. In Colorado, the law changed in the 90s, late 90s, and an agency changed. And it was weird, and this might be a little before your time. And it was like because we got paid, our commissions were paid by the seller, we had to represent the seller even if we didn't know him. And it was like, are you kidding me? But we did for years, and we always had to just try to get the seller the highest and best price. Well, then it changed to buyer agency, where you could actually be an advocate for the buyer, negotiate for the buyer, and represent the buyer, but still be paid by the seller. And that was a beautiful change for our state. We were one of the first states in the country to do this. And I know this is how you operate, and you're great at it, because you do a great job of representing, and you do a great job of explaining the buyer agency contract. But that contract is really important.
It is. And the biggest thing that I want people to understand is that it's about being promoted, your best interest being promoted by an agent.
That's right.
If you just go and call a listing agent and say, I want to buy this house, and he's going to be working with both sides, I just don't see how they can, in all situations, be able to get that buyer the best deal and be protected and go through all the things that need to be done. Sometimes they can, but I think it's sort of like going to court. You need to be represented by one person, who's going to have your back.
Well, you do a great job at it, buddy. And listen, I want to tell you one more time, because he's giving me the signal that we're almost done here. You did a great job on national TV last night representing RE/MAX Properties, representing you and your family and this city.
Thank you, Joe. I appreciate it.
Good job, man.
Thanks.
Really
appreciate it, Joe. Thanks for having us on.
Brady and Stone. He's at 598-4700 RE/MAX Properties, Chapel Hill's office, if anybody wants to call you. All right, Amy, next week we've got another guest.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, and it's going to be a great show. So have a great weekend, everybody. Go to a RE/MAX Properties open house and meet some more of our fabulous broker associates. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening, everybody.